Ooh, that looks tasty.
Welcome, folks. Today, the Hungry Gamer is back with another episode of Boards and Brews, and today I am joined again by my occasional regular co-host, Original Don, designer of the only chicken game that matters, Backyard Chickens, and now Don's going to say co-designer.
Co-designer.
There you go. And good to see you again, Don. It's been a while, mostly my fault because I've been doing a play and all that nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
But
It's
how
really
you?
inconvenient for my life when you do a
It
play.
is. It is, and it's disrespectful of me to do something
Yeah,
with my evenings.
yeah.
Uh, that doesn't
Especially
involve
something you love. That's just rude.
right.
Selfish.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just shame on me.
All right. Glad we
No,
got
no,
that in.
actually, I did just notice.
Mhm.
I didn't do this on purpose, but my 5x5 is looking pretty good here,
Ah,
and I see your 10x10.
you know what? It's a lot better than it was last year.
Yeah, I see. What's that? Two games that are like all the way on the left.
Yeah. Well, there's only one that I haven't played at all, and that's
Just
Tales from the Red Dragon Inn, because I was hoping to finish Clank Legacy 2 and then start that, but I think I'm going to have to overlap them because Clank is going to take till the end of the year at the
so
rate
I'm
we're
just
going.
saying. I'm not. It's not a competition, but if it
But you're
was, I'm
winning.
winning.
Yeah. I have
Anyhow,
3 that are finished, so that's pretty good.
yeah, I got. I only have one finished, but three of them I got four out of my five done.
Mm.
So I'm feeling good.
I
I'm a
have 3
little
10
worried
out
about
of 10,
criticism.
but it's not a competition.
Well, right, we already established that because if it was, you're losing. But anyhow, what is your brewed beverage tonight?
Ah, I am drinking a fieldwork beer called Gallows and Graves, and that is an appropriate name for it. It is heavy and
Yeah, it's
dark.
a
It's an I'm in the mood for it kind of Scotch ale. I tried to drink it the other day, and I was not in the mood for it. And but it's good. It's delicious. It's just you got to be in the mood for a heavy Scotch ale. Wait, there's
yeah. No,
another word in
everybody, this
there.
is one that
Oh, it's a wee heavy Scotch ale.
oh, it's a wee heavy Scotch ale.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I can't do that.
Yeah, well, you could go for it. Try it.
I think so.
No, see, too much respect for himself. So everybody, the we just recently did Kubla Khan Prime. And as always, well, I mean, I don't know how you're supposed to say it, but I feel like that's,
I mean, there was about 5 minutes where you were going to resist the prime, and then it became a warrior chant kind of a thing
you
in your
know,
last video.
you either gotta go with it or abandon it. And I decided I'm gonna go hard.
Yeah.
And usually one of us will bring the beers, the other brings other snacks. And this
Hmm.
time I brought some palomas and old fashions, and Don brought the beers. And it was kind of to send me all the beers. And I was like, we haven't had this Scotch ale. Let's
Hmm.
get it. And y'all, it is so heavy. I mean,
Hmm.
it's not Guinness heavy, so you don't need a fork for it, but it's like a spoon. It's
Hmm.
tasty if you like that kind of thing.
Yeah. Forget heavy machinery. Don't like need to walk up any stairs after drinking it. It's
Mm.
just
Yeah, it's a thing, but it is tasty.
yeah.
Now, myself, I am actually totally ruining the theme of the show. I just got a bourbon and coke here.
That works.
Yeah, so it's not none of those are brewed. It's just and yes, it is in a Taco Bell cup.
I
Yeah.
almost completely ruined it and made a gin tonic just because I'm short on options here, but I decided I'm going to see if I'm in the mood for this, and luckily I am.
Oh, you should have because I hate gin so much.
I know you do.
But it was a graduation tonight.
Hmm.
If you don't know, I teach high school. I teach seniors, so it was at graduation. And usually it's on our football field, but our football field is being renovated because it was dangerous as shit.
Hmm.
It had holes in it that were like this deep. For those of you who are just listening, I mean, it's like 6-inch holes in it. And I am shocked no one tore all of the ligaments in their body on that field last year.
Yeah.
So they're redoing it. So we were off at San Jose State. And oh my gosh, there is a special circle of hell for people who show up to a graduation with an air horn.
Oh my gosh.
Like just rot in hell. all the
Yes.
hells, and then go deeper and do it again.
Yep.
And just two reasons. One, it's annoying as shit, especially because this was inside. But two, no, I don't have children, but you have children.
Mhm.
I think at last count you had 47.
Mm.
And all of them have now graduated high school.
Yeah,
The parents after the air horn people don't get to hear their kid's name.
that's a good point.
And I get everybody, if you're watching, you see I am so angry still about this, that some selfish people were like, my child who's not even going to recognize in that moment that I'm screaming and blowing an air horn for you, because they don't. They are so excited and nervous.
And making sure they're concentrating on not tripping as they cross the stage.
Yeah, and remembering it's weird. Like if I tell you what you're going to do is you're going to grab the empty diploma thing because there's nothing in there.
Mhm.
You're going to shake hands and you're going to turn your head out and take a picture. It sounds easy, but in the moment when they're so excited and their brains are not working, it is so hard and they are not listening. So, everybody, don't take an air horn, just clap, give a woot, and be done.
Yeah, and realize no matter which of those you're doing it for yourself because the kid is not hearing you.
Yep. I was, I was so angry tonight because usually we do it on the football field. So that just kind of dissipates a bit.
Mhm.
But since we were inside in this event center, it was so loud. And there was a couple kids that even though I was like focusing, I couldn't hear the names. I was so angry. Anyhow, do you have a soapbox you want to get on real quick? Because apparently it's soapbox night.
No, that's a good one.
Yeah. So you didn't do that, right?
Oh, God, no.
Of course not. Because your kids would have been upset because they're good people.
If
Anyhow.
my kids saw us clapping for them, they'd probably be sad because we did, like, polite clapping because we knew they didn't hear us. No, we cheered, but, like, not screaming or loud, no air horns, no confetti, just like, "Yay."
We'll take you to dinner later, you know.
Right.
Anyhow, all that aside, it's been a while, so everybody, this is what we're gonna do today. We're gonna talk about two games, two recent plays. We're gonna talk about two games that we want to play, whether they're coming up soon or not, but we want to play. Then we're gonna have a very, very short topic. We're gonna talk about some old game that we've never played that we really want to. And then we're gonna dig into the main part, which is a review of two games, and that is Gun It and I believe it's called Rollin' One,
Yeah.
a golf game by the same designer, and we're going to talk about kind of both of those because Gunnet was actually sent to us specifically to talk about on the channel. And Don and I played it, I believe, 3 times, and I played it 3 or 4 times since then. So that's the show today. It'll be as long as it is, as always. But jumping on in, would you like me to go first, Don, or you want to go first?
I can go first on this one.
All right, recent
Recent
plays.
games. Yeah, so the first one, we just played this together, Great Western Trail, El Paso. Um, the follow-up to the original Great Western Trail, which I have played a bunch and love,
Actually, I think it's the
and
follow up to the follow up to the follow up.
something like that. It's somewhere in there. It's in the series of Great Western Trail games. Um, I loved this game. And I'll tell you, I was excited when I heard these follow-up games announced, but I did zero research. I'm just like, I'll play them at some point, or I'll get them at some point and play them. And I had no idea that this was sort of a, distilled down version of Great Western Trail.
Tell
It's
us real quick about how it plays and all that.
yeah, so it's a rondel game. Some people argue it's not because it's not a perfect circle, but they're wrong. It's a
Yeah, you know what?
rondel because you're
They can
going through a
hang
loop.
out with the air horn people.
Yes, for sure. So it's a rondel game. You're going around a trail. You occasionally hit the end of the trail. It's a different city in the original, and I'm blanking on it. But along the way, you're
Well,
collecting.
El Paso. It's
Well,
a
it's El
state.
Paso in this game. It's a different city in the original.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. So anyway, along the way, you've always got a hand of cards that represent cattle, and when you get to the city El Paso in this game, you turn in the cards, and however many different breeds you have, you get to collect that much money, and then you go around and you build buildings and you buy workers and all this stuff with that money, and you're trying to be have the most points by the end of the game you know, rinse and repeat, I guess. That's really oversimplifying it, but the full game, you're building a lot of buildings, you're upgrading those buildings, you're going around a bunch of times. You're really crafting your deck of cow cards that you're drawing from. It's delightful, but it can be very, very long, especially if you're teaching it to new people, especially if it's late at night, like when we taught it to my sister and her husband. And, we got to like 1 a.m. and we're like, we can just leave it on the table and finish tomorrow. And they said, no, the cat'll mess it up. We're powering through. So it
You
can
know
be
what?
long.
That
And
makes me love your sister,
yes,
like, a lot. Like, it's
I
1 AM.
respect the
It's like,
power
"We
through.
are finishing this
Yeah,
bullshit."
for sure. And,
See
they're
what I
not
did there?
huge gamers.
Bullshit.
I
Yeah,
got that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Clever. Anyway, I really appreciate El Paso, taking pretty much that same experience, but distilling it down to the essential moves. And it's a quick, I don't know how long it took us, less than an hour.
Yeah, and that was with, me teaching you.
Yes.
I mean, I'm gonna say if we were to go back and play again, we could probably knock it out in 30 minutes at 2 players.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously, Alexander Pfister and Johannes Krenner are the designers. I'm trying to get better about saying that. And I don't know, it was delightful. I really enjoyed it. I can't wait to teach it to my wife, who also loves Great Western Trail. She just calls it cows. Of course, we have shorthand for games, and I think she's really going to like how light and quick this one is.
Yeah, no, I've never played Great Western Trail, but I was really pleasantly surprised. And this was a review copy that I got a hold of, but I got a hold of specifically because I was like, "Don, do you wanna try this?" And Don was like, "Yes."
Absolutely.
And I was really pleasantly surprised. It is very, very simple. And because it's very simple, it was easy. And so,
Hmm.
when I can teach and play a game in under an hour, I'm pretty much always there. That said, I thought the rondel was really tight. I like how
Hmm.
you can move buildings to different places. I like how you can kinda lock people out of buildings. I don't I thought it was actually a really clean game, and I did not realize that, well, maybe Great Western Trail isn't this, but it really comes down to kind of an odd set collection with a little bit of engine building to go
Hmm.
along with it, which I thought was actually pretty darn satisfying, even though even
Yeah.
though I'm pretty sure I lost, but, really satisfying, I thought.
I don't even remember what the scores were, but yeah, it's a quirky deck builder almost. You're building your deck of cattle cards and you're trying to draw unique breeds and discard the ones that aren't unique by the time you get to El Paso. And
Oh, yeah, and then
yeah.
you're drawing workers out, but every time you draw a
Hmm.
worker, it doesn't stay in your hand, it goes into your tableau, so you can
Yep.
spend it, you draw another card.
Yep.
It's bizarre, but yeah, I thought it was really, really clean and it was very clever. Like, it's
Yeah.
absolutely one that I would play again for sure.
So if you've never played the original, we should play it sometime just so you can compare and contrast. And
Will I like it more than Western Legends?
then Western Legends, yes, you'll like it more than Western Legends.
All right, so the backstory, everybody, is there's this game that Don loves, and our friend Steve loves even more, called Western Legends.
There.
And on paper, I should adore this game. And
You
I
really
really
should.
don't.
You really should. I don't get it.
I try so hard to like it, and I'm willing to play one more time. But so it's a low bar, but nonetheless, just will I like it more than Western Legends? Oh, and I mean, Steve even had his painted that we just played.
Yes.
All
Not
right,
100%, so little ding there.
yeah, it was beautiful. It is a
It was
beautiful
good.
game.
It is a beautiful game.
But so my first one recent play is Lord of the Rings: Fate of the Fellowship, which is Matt Leacock's latest. It is a riff on one of his pandemic games. My understanding is it's a riff on Pandemic Fall of Rome,
Hmm.
which is the kind of the big difference is in regular pandemic when you get too many virus cubes or whatever on one location, they kind of explode out. In this one, that doesn't happen. There is no exploding, but when you draw the bad cards, what happens is the armies move, and so the armies are moving across Middle Earth, and there's these army lines, and so it might say they move from um, Isengard to Helm's Deep, and there's a line that it follows, and so all the troops will move from Isengard to the next location. All the troops over that location will move to the next location until they get to Isengard and combats happen along the way. But each player is playing two different characters, or Merry and Pippin count as one character, and Frodo and Sam count as one character. So, three if you're playing with them. And you have to pick each turn which of your two characters gets four actions and which gets one action.
Mm.
And you're moving around, and they all have special, unique abilities that might be super useful all the time. Like Legolas can spend a stealth card or a stealth token to just pick off a shadow troop somewhere, while Merry and Pippin can spend three friendship tokens and sing a song if they're with Frodo and Sam to boost their hope, whatever. But you have to accomplish three missions, which might be take over Isengard, or get X amount of troops to of the different colors to this area to make Sauron kind of send his armies there. And once you do all those, then Frodo and Sam can throw the ring into Mount Doom. And I'm not a huge fan of Pandemic. And a big reason why I'm not a fan of Pandemic is I find the theme really creepy and like
Hmm.
really real. I just, mm-mm. Nope. I don't, nope. I don't want to play that. I don't want to play COVID the game, even though I know it came up for COVID. But this one, I really like. It's really hard and it can be really swingy. Like Sarah and we played the other day and we lost in the first 15 minutes just because the cards were all against us. We couldn't draw the cards that we needed. And then the evil cards that come out just were the worst combination possible. And the dice we rolled all came up, ones, basically. It's really clever, though. It's a beautiful production. Yeah, I'm really, really into it. And I have to give it back to Z-Man Games. They let me
Mm.
have it originally, they let me have it for 10 days, but they told me I could keep it till RageCon now.
Mm.
It's really, really good. I don't know that I would say it's a top 5 crisis management game, but it might be a top 10. It's definitely a top 15. So I'm hoping to get to play it more, and maybe I'll forget it at my house when I go to GrageCon. Oh no, I have to keep it for a little longer.
But we'll have to play it on during TrainCon if we can.
Yeah, there's a small chance actually that the creative lead from Z-Man Games might also be on that train.
Oh
So
wow,
yeah, maybe she'll come join us and play. It Yeah, it's really clever. It's a very cool production. It makes me interested in playing Pandemic Fall of Rome now because it's a very, very cool system.
excellent.
Which you can't talk anything about this because obviously you've never played it.
Right.
Because it's sitting in my house.
I'm anxious to play. I am a fan of original Pandemic. I have not played. I don't think I've played any of the spin-off games, and not because I've gone out of my way to avoid them. I just, if I want to play Pandemic, I usually play Pandemic. I mean, not counting Legacy. I've played Legacy, but not Fall of Rome or any of the other spin-offs. But I'm super curious about this one. I like the idea of tying this theme in.
We will 100% play it on TrainCon, if probably before. Probably before. We'll make sure that
Excellent.
happens. All right. What is your second recent play?
I'm going to go back in time a little bit because I have a monthly gaming meetup at work, and it is the first Wednesday of every month after work, like starting at 4:30 at the end of the workday. It is often me and two other people.
Wait, quick pause. Quick pause.
Yeah,
And I neglected to say this, everybody, in my Kubla Khan recap. Burgundy Benjie won the Castles of Burgundy tournament at Kubla Khan Prime, and he beat the crap out of the dude that won the World Series of board gaming last year. And Burgundy Benjie has a ticket to Vegas for the World Series of board gaming.
there will be a training montage at some point before then.
Oh yeah, we are gonna make him play all kinds of
Yeah.
games, and he's gonna have to drink some Mountain Dew and eat
Mhm.
some flaming hot Cheetos. And if he
Mhm.
cries, good, because
Yeah,
that's how you become a
that's how
winner.
you grow, that's how you get stronger. So this
Exactly.
is 2 years in a row for those that are counting that he has won this tournament. So we're super proud of him. Go Benji.
All right, but anyhow, so at your board game meetup,
Yeah, so it's often just 3 of us there. Maybe a couple of other people show up, but we had some out of town friends, in for meetings, and I just said, "Hey, come to this thing. It happens to be going on today." And so we had like 7 people around the table, and I hate the first game being like, "Let's split up into 2 tables and play stuff." And so I pulled out Welcome to, which I had not played in forever, and I taught this game to people who were excited to play board games, and at least one person who I wasn't sure was gonna show up. He's a very, I don't know, just a different guy, and everybody loved it. And I was so happy to play it again. It's been a long time. It's one of the games that my team and I played, in 2020 when nobody could go anywhere. We could play it online. I was sad to see that the app doesn't exist anymore, where they just had the board on an app so you could play on your phone if you were doing it remotely or in a large setting. But
well, I mean, it is on BGA though.
it is on BGA, definitely. But there used to be an app where that could be your player board. So somebody still flips the cards and everything, but then you can
Mm,
play on your phone.
I
And we
see.
had done that remotely before where I just pointed the camera at the cards, and this is before I got my team on BGA and everything. But I don't know, I was a little nervous because I hadn't taught the game in years, and everybody got it quickly. It was a lot of analytical types, so they were asking questions from my first sentence, and, like, not dumb board gamer questions, but, like, "How do I optimize this thing?" And I've told you 1 thing out of 20 things you need to know in this game, so hang on. But, it was not one of those annoying teachers where they're asking questions they don't need to ask. They were just in, and it was a delightful experience. So I was happy to play the game for the first time in quite a while, and I'm eager to get it out again. And tomorrow is our weekly lunchtime board game, and at least one of those folks is going to play again. And so I'm half tempted to bring it again, but I want to introduce them to other stuff too. So
You
that's
know,
my other game.
what I'll say, and this was I don't know who said this on an gaming words of wisdom at some point, but you don't always have to teach a new game. Sometimes it's good to go back to something you know people like.
For sure.
So I'm going to push for you should take Welcome to and do it again.
I will have it with me, but these are people that I'm only gonna see every several months, so
Okay.
it's the chance to show them something else, and I think they'll appreciate that.
All right, all right, all right, all right, fine, fine, fine.
We also played For Sale tonight, which is even easier to teach, but it's a very old game that might have been my pick for an old game I wanna play, except I just learned it for the first time a few weeks ago, and it is such an easy game to teach, and it is so much fun. I
I don't
really
know anything
enjoyed it.
about for sale.
Oh, we'll have to play it.
All right, sold. If you're just listening, I made a face and Don made a face back, so
Will's
we
on
had one
fire
good.
tonight.
Yeah, it was good. All right, so my next one is a game that hasn't released yet. I believe it's about 10 days or so from the retail release of the game called Hedge Maze from Floodgate Games.
Mm,
And I just played it last night with Mrs. Hungry Gamer. And this is a game where you are playing two wizards and each and you have a competition with your neighbors. You each have a garden. It has a bunch of garden gnomes in there. And they're also wizards, obviously.
obviously, got pointy
And
hats.
you each have two spells that you can cast. One is grow hedges. The other is animate gnomes.
Mhm.
And you are playing in your opponent's garden, and every turn you flip over a card and it has a different polyomino shape. And then you put that shape in your garden, which is in front of your opponent, because your opponent is running around in your garden and you are running around in their garden, and you're trying to get as many of their garden gnomes out of their garden.
Okay.
So each turn, the way it mechanically works is you flip a card, you pick up the polyomino shape, which is a hedge, and you put it in your opponent's board in front of them. And then depending on how you place it, you get X amount of movement points. And then every animated character in the garden can then move that many points. So if it's four, you can move four orthogonal spaces. So each of your wizards can move four spaces, and any gnome that you have magically awakened can also move. And there's three colors of gnomes, and each game there's a different rule for how you awaken them. So, for example, the game that we played, to wake up the purple gnomes, you had to have one of your wizards on the same row and the same column as the purple gnome, and then like their magics could meet on the gnome and it would stand up.
Mm.
And now that gnome can now suddenly move, but you can also pick the gnomes up and drop them next to you and move them around and try to get them to the little hole so they can escape. And it has a really cute, I'm going to show you guys because I'm about to record a video of this, but if you're just listening, you can't see it. Imagine it's amazing. So you have these little wizards that are carrying little boxes. And then the gnomes are these little screen printed meeples. And if the gnome is still asleep, you can still carry it laying down in your little box. But it's set up to where if the gnome is awake, he can ride in the thing standing up. So you can pick up these gnomes, you're moving around, you can drop the gnomes on top of hedges, they can run across the hedges and all
Mm.
this stuff. And it is hard to teach because of the exact thing that I watched Don's face get confused about when you say, "You're in my garden, I'm in your garden."
Mhm.
Because my garden's in front of you and it's weirdly confusing. Mrs. Hungry Gamer had a hard time getting it, and I knew she would. And this is where she's a saint because she tests board games with me. Because if I wasn't reviewing this, I wouldn't have said that. I would have said, "Yeah, it's your garden and we have a competition," which is still a competition, but I wouldn't have said the "your" in my garden because
Mhm.
it's weird. And I would have said, "Yeah, I'm casting my hedge spell to grow these hedges in your garden," because that
Mhm.
makes it harder for you to move around. But once you get past that, it's cute, it's clever, and for a game that's actually very simple, it's like a 6-page rule book. It's pretty darn hard to do a really good job. And the real challenge is actually in building a hedge maze that challenges the other player because we actually both got all but one of our gnomes out of the garden. And clearly the purpose is you're supposed to build this hedge maze to make it harder for you to do what you need to do. But it's pretty darn cute. It's pretty cute. It's pretty clever and definitely enjoyed it. So hedge maze, which I know, sorry, hedge mage,
Mm.
which I know you haven't played because I just got it and it hasn't released yet. But
I hadn't heard of it.
yeah, it funded on Kickstarter, and as near as I can tell, Floodgate Games kind of picked it up from the Kickstarter.
Oh, good for them.
But yeah, it's clever. I think it'll do well, and I think it should do well. It's pretty darn cute. Yeah, I definitely dug it. So
Good.
two games, but go ahead and just pick one that you got a hankering to play, whether or not you think you're going to get them to the table soon or not.
Yeah, so I have one, it's a game I've played a bunch, but I just got the new version of Barony, which is a game that I love. It is by Mark, Andre, the designer of Splendor,
Is this
and
the one
also
that's Middle Ages? Is this
no. So there's Middle Ages. Middle Ages is the remake of Majesty for the Realm. This is Barony. Same designer, yes. And both Middle Ages slash Majesty for the Realm and Barony are far superior to Splendor, which is the goat game of his that everybody loves, which I love too. I think it's a great game. I've got a first edition when they did like metal core chips, and they don't make those anymore, and so I will never sell that. But I love Barony. It is a perfect information game. Everybody starts with all of their pieces, and everybody starts with the same pieces. This expansion or this new version comes with a mini expansion that has player powers. I don't know that we ever need to play with those, but they'll be worth trying out.
we're gonna? I assume we're playing this on TrainCon.
Yes, I am bringing this on TrainCon slash RageCon, and somewhere in there we will play it. But it is a area control type game. Everybody starts with the same pieces, and everybody has the same abilities, and it's chess like in that you just try to optimize your moves over everybody else's moves. And I love it. I think it's a really cool game. The original game, the art is iffy. Like I didn't hate it, but just it was unremarkable, I guess. A little garish. Uh, this new version is a little better. I haven't really dug into it yet. It just showed up while we were at KublaCon, so I have opened the box, and that's about as far as I've gotten. But I am anxious to play it. I love the game, and so even just for the fact that I love the game, I'm anxious to play it. But I'm curious to see the new little expansion stuff they've added.
Yeah, I played it with you one time. I
Hmm.
played it with you and Manic Mark, and we've had a Kubla a couple years ago. I recall it being fun, but I remember almost nothing about it. But my first one is a game, and I don't think that you've played this. It's called Deep Shelf, and
No.
I don't know when I'm gonna play this. I really want to. It's constantly taunting me. It's right here, and this is the second game from the designer of Dinogenics, and
Mm.
this is a explore the ocean floor kind of game, and it's asymmetric factions. It was one of my game of the year honorable mentions last year, and it's a heavier game than I usually like,
Hmm.
but I just think it's really clever the way it's put together, and it's one of those games that it's not supremely hard to do stuff, but it is hard to do things. Like, it's you have to really be cognizant of what it is you're doing each turn, because that's going to affect what you can do down the line. It's not like Feudum hard, where it's just
Hmm.
hard to do anything.
Yeah.
But it is it's a challenging game, and I really like it. I think it's a very good game. It was a beautiful production. I actually bought the expansion for one more faction. And would you like to guess why I went ahead and bought that expansion? They sent me a copy because I reviewed it, but I spent the money to buy the expansion. Can you guess, Donald, why I purchased the expansion?
Did they put Beatrice the board game dog in it? That
Well,
wouldn't
no,
make
that
sense
would
in
be
an
what
ocean
they would
themed
be
game,
pay.
but
They should be paying me for that. No, because the expansion faction is yellow.
oh,
Yeah,
you're
and I
such
was
a
like,
kind soul.
yeah, I was like, well, there's no way you'll play if I don't have that one.
Right.
But yeah, I think it's a very good game. It's very hard for me to table. In fact, I haven't actually tabled my physical copy since I got it. I've played it several times online, but I actually haven't played on the table. No, that's not true. I did play a solo game, but not with humans. So that's all that really counts. So that's one of my two. What's your next one that you're hoping to get to the table soon?
I've got a Kickstarter that I received a while back. It is called Chai Garam. Yeah, it's in there. It is all about serving chai in India. It's by designers in India. Um, I backed it a while back because it was adorable, and I just have not had a chance to get it out. I unboxed it, and the components look great. It's got little chai cups and everything in there, and it just hasn't gotten to the table yet. And I'm kind of itching to play that one. I
Yeah.
can't describe the gameplay. I haven't learned it. I'm just itching to get it out.
All right. So here's my proposal. Here's my
Hmm.
proposal. So end of the month, we got TrainCon and RageCon coming up.
Hmm.
But and so everybody, Don sent me a picture a couple nights ago of this amazing cocktail he had at this amazing steakhouse near him. So
Hmm.
what if I come up to your area early on the night before we go to TrainCon, and we go to that amazing steakhouse and we play some of these games
This is
before?
not the kind of place you play games in.
No. We go back to your house, you goober.
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying we could do that.
I'm down.
You heard it
I'm an
here,
easy
everybody.
sell.
We're going to a fancy steakhouse. That's really I just needed to get him to commit to this fancy steakhouse.
Absolutely.
All right, so my next one is a game that the publisher reached out to me in November, early December, and said, "Are you interested in covering this game?" And I said, "I would love to cover this game. I the very earliest I'm going to get to this is like March." And they're like, "You know what? Yes." And I still haven't gotten to it. But this is called Everstone Discovering Ignis. And Aldi from Board Game Geek says it's great. A few people have said it's great, and the kind of it's a tableau builder worker placement game, and you're kind of finding these artifacts and reconstructing these artifacts, whatever. But kind of the interesting core mechanic is every time you take an action on some of the spaces on the board, that action goes away and it becomes a new action. And everybody I know, well, one person I know said it was okay, but everybody else I've talked to really, really likes it. And that's another one that's sitting here and mocking me. I need to do a review. I really want to play it. and I'm hoping it's towards the top. I don't think you know anything about this one. Do you, Don?
Mm-mm.
This is very good podcasting, where I say I
Yeah.
want to play this, you say you want to play this, and we're like, I don't know anything about it. But whatever
Everybody
says,
is itching to hear the report out afterwards, so
yeah, that's
this
what
is
it is. So make sure
cliffhanger
you
style
keep
stuff.
listening.
Yeah,
At some point, we may talk about
you
these
never
games
know.
again.
Hang in there.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm very very much itching. In fact, when Canadian Kev was down here, it was one of the few Euros he highlighted as one that he was interested in playing,
Mm,
and we just didn't get to it. So sometime maybe. Move it into our very short topic because we probably can't talk a lot about them. But what is an older game that you got a real hankering to try? I'll go first. Give you another few minutes to think. For me, it is Pillars of the Earth.
oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know anything about the book. Ken
Mhm,
Follett's Pillars. I know nothing about it. I knew nothing about the game. I did a little bit of research. It's like about building a temple or something. But ev- every so often, for the past however many years, I see somebody post about this game.
mhm.
And I even started watching today a how to play video, and then I had to go to this graduation for the air horns of the game. And I don't know anything about it. It's an old ass worker placement game, I think.
Mhm.
So I probably won't like it because it's like about a building a church or something,
It's a cathedral.
building a cathedral,
Yeah,
which sounds so boring. And
it
like
is
the
a
resources, I know the resources are like one of the resources is sand. It's
it is
dirt.
I mean,
A
you gotta have
resource
a
is
good
dirt.
foundation.
It's dirt, Don. Dirt.
I don't remember that.
But I really want to try this game a lot. Like to the point to where I put it's on my want list at Noble Night. And next time I make an order, it's probably gonna be on there.
Do you know it's on my shelf here?
Is it?
Yeah. I got it a million years ago. Adrian and I played it once. We absolutely loved it, and I have not played it since. But
Okay.
yes, and yeah, I have it. We're gonna make this happen.
Okay, so I'm adjusting. So you're gonna play hooky from work the day before train con. And we're gonna play Pillars of the Earth, then go for steak, and then come back and play other stuff.
Okay.
I know I'm horrible to you. So you've played it. So can you talk about it at all?
It's been years, but yes, it's worker placement. It's pretty straight. Like it's an older game, like you said. It's pretty straightforward worker placement stuff. You're building a cathedral, which is what the whole 800-page or 1,000-page book is about. I forget how long, but it is an amazing book. It like takes place over generations, just like a cathedral construction does, and like it's a very abstracted depiction of the story in the book because really you're doing worker placement to build a cathedral, but I that's all I remember. It's resource management, worker placement, putting the cathedral together. I don't know how you're competing over building the same cathedral. I think it's your typical whoever contributed the most to the cathedral, but we will have to figure that out.
Oh, I'm
And stay tuned, folks, to hear the riveting tale of what it really was about.
we're gonna be like this was a bunch of shit.
No,
But
it
yeah,
is good. I remember it's good. I have not heard the same about the sequel game, which is Column of Fire, which
oh,
was the sequel book, which was also not as good as the original book, but it was still good.
I've never seen anything about Column of Fire,
Yeah.
so there you go.
It is an epic novel, Pillars of the Earth. It's great historical fiction.
Oh, I might have to check that out too.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm dumb. You have it? Where?
I do. I don't know. It's right behind me somewhere.
I'm shocked. I've
It's
looked at
in the
all of your
Euro
stuff
section
so many
somewhere.
times.
I know. I'm
Uh,
shocked at that.
all right. What do you got?
All right, I'm going to go with Through the Ages, A New Story of Civilization.
Oh.
And I had very little time with this prompt, but I just pulled up the BGG top whatever list, and it's number 15. And I was surprised at how I think I've played 7 or 8 of the top 10. I was surprised at that because there's a lot of weird things that get to the top. But this is one that I've been itching to play. All I really know about it is like supposedly the best civilization board game in existence. And also, it takes freaking forever to play unless you're playing on the app, but I refuse to play it for the first time on the app. Like,
So
not like app assisted board game, like play it on the app and not actually play the board game.
So,
and so I want to learn it
all
in
right. So
real
here's what I
time,
was about to
real
say.
space.
So we
Yeah,
talked about this game.
did we?
Not you. Uh,
Oh,
was so aggressive. Not you. Myself and Don, Secret
uh,
Cabal Don.
right.
We talked about this it had to be a single digit episode
Okay,
way back in the day. And I've only played on the app.
interesting.
The app's really good.
That's what I hear, but I would like to experience the regular game before I play on the app.
Well, no. Get the app first to learn the damn game. And then we can play it.
I don't want the physical game to feel disappointing. This is the problem.
It's gonna.
It's like reading the book first and then watching the movie.
All right. Okay. Well, I'll see if
That
Noble Knight has it
that
with
shouldn't be
Pillars
a
of the
fair
Earth for the
comparison, yeah.
next
I
episode. Yeah.
actually
So
had Through the Ages for a while because somebody was giving it away, and then I realized it was the original version, and A New Story of Civilization is supposed to be, like, a huge improvement over the original. I don't know how, but
I thought the
yeah.
news story was just the app.
No, it's the name of the game. It's just, like, there was an original game, and then it was, like it's like a 2nd edition, but instead of 2nd edition, it was called A New Story of
Oh, I
Civilization.
see. So this is a game that now everybody we did not plan this at all. In fact, I've been poking down a little bit for the past couple weeks, like, oh, we should record. And it just hasn't happened. And finally, I was like, we're gonna do it tonight. And he's like,
Mhm.
okay. And we did not talk at all. I gave him an outline what we're doing, and so the fact that we have both the other person has played the other person's game was not planned. It's a fun game. It is long. Like you play on the app, and I've played it with a Skippy a couple of times.
Mhm.
It's been a long time now, but you're gonna play on the app for like 90 minutes to 2 hours. I mean, it's a beast of a game. It is
Yeah.
long, and it doesn't solve my biggest issue with civilization games of how you're like, I'm traveling to space. I've yet to develop bronze. Like, it doesn't solve that. I have the internet, but I am still using coal. You
Mhm.
know, like it doesn't solve that weirdness of civilization games. But
I mean, we have the internet and we're still using coal, so
you shut your filthy mouth, Donald. You know what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying.
Um, but it is good. It is good. So I guess we got that's gonna have to be another day. We can't add that into pre-steak. it's it's a lot.
Okay, the day before Train Con, calling in sick.
I'm fine with that too because I had my last day of classes today, Donald.
Hmm.
I'm done. I got to go in tomorrow, clean my classroom, return some books, and I'm done. So I can come stay as long as you want. It doesn't matter. We can have a lot of steak.
Excellent.
All right. So before we jump into what we're really here to talk about, how great is Noble Knight Games, Don?
They're pretty great.
Right? They're
Yeah.
probably where you're going to get a copy of Civilization: A New Dawn, or whatever the heck it's called. New Age, New Dawn, Dawn of New Age.
Through the Ages, A New Story of Civilization.
I had most of the words right, but it's probably where you're going to get that in the next time I make an order. So they're pretty great. Everybody, check out their commercial because they're an amazing sponsor of us. Yay!
Here at Noble Knight Games, we've been carefully growing the world's largest selection of board games, role-playing games and dice, war games, miniatures and paints, card games, and more. Going on 25 years now. Our rustic castle contains more game and hobby goodness than you can shake a stick at. Complete with careful packaging and the finest customer service the land can provide. You can buy, sell, trade from anywhere in the world, just like nature intended. Noble Knight Games.
And we are back. Done. You wanted to say the designer?
Lotto Shavato,
There you go.
designer of Through the Ages. Trying to be better about that.
So yeah, I actually don't know the designer of Pillars of the Earth. I know Ken Follett wrote the book. He didn't design the game.
He did
He
not.
may he
His
may not
name's
even
on
know the
the
game
at the
exists
top
for
of the
all I know.
box, I want to say.
Was that?
His name's at the top of the box, and I'm sure he got a nice check for it, so he probably knows it exists.
So our review games this week, we actually have two of them. First one is Gun It, and the second one is Roll in One. We're gonna talk about Gun It first. And so Gun It is a game that was sent us specifically, reached out to me, asked me if we wanted to cover, and they were interested in us covering it on this podcast, which is a first.
Mm.
First time someone's like, on the podcast, please. And so this is a game where there's various scenarios that you can do, and you are in a car, you and your three buddies, you are trying to get away from the bad guys. And so the first scenario is you got the incriminating evidence on a flash drive and you're trying to get it to the media so it can go out to whatever. And you raided a storage locker or something in the security office and you got some
Mhm.
guns and you're trying to, escape. And on the table, you have your car, and a bunch of different vehicles are going to be spawned around you. And you have a couple of minutes to determine who's going to do what. And so the driver always has to drive, but the other players are trading around a pistol, a shotgun, and an Uzi. And also, they're trading around where they're attacking or moving. And you kind of passing those around, trying to find the best way to cause a chain reaction of crashes. So if you do enough damage to a car, it's going to crash and it'll hurt the thing behind it, or there's an arrow that determines what direction the damage when you destroy it goes. And if you manage to get a chain reaction of damage, it will move you towards the end game victory. At least in the first scenario, all the scenarios are a little bit different.
Mhm.
And so the core of the game is having the discussion of, okay, well, I'm going to give you this because you're going to act first. And the first thing that's going to happen is we're going to drive the car to the left one space, and then you're going to shoot. You're going to shoot behind you, but we're going to have the Uzi. So that means you get to shoot behind you and diagonally behind you and all these different things. And you can choose to shoot across somebody next to you, but you might shoot them in the face, your buddy, and then you take damage. And you're just trying to, in a short amount of time, create the best combination of actions and cause and effect to destroy as many of the bad guys as you can. Now, I've played some scenarios that Don hasn't, where you have different kind of bad guys that have different rules and stuff you're dealing with, but that's kind of the core game. And so you and I think we played this game 3 times, and then
Mhm.
we went and watched Sinners. So it was a pretty darn good day.
Yep.
But what did you think? And I know it's been about a month since you played, but if you can recall, what did you like about the game?
Yeah, so I enjoyed it. I usually don't like a game with a timer, but, the timer fits the theme in this game. You're driving 50 miles an hour in traffic trying to fight off bad guys, so
I mean, clearly driving faster than that. Like, I mean, come on. We're not. It's not speed. You're not Sandra
okay,
Bullock, all right?
65 miles an hour in traffic, blah, blah, blah. Um, so I did not mind the timer. The timer was long enough for us to have a conversation, but short enough that it added some stress.
Yeah. I
So
mean,
it
I mean,
wasn't
several times we were like, oh well, we just stopped the
yeah.
timer because we were done.
Yeah, but there were definitely times we went up to the last little grain of sand in the timer or whatever they put in those things these days. So
They're
I,
human
I was
ashes.
I was good with the timer. Like it was the right amount of time. We had a good discussion, but there was some stress to it, which is the whole point. Definite Spy Hunter vibes from this game. I mean, in Spy Hunter, for the youngins, that's a classic video game. um, you're a solo person driving a car that has tricks and oil slick and all that kind of stuff. But this is the same thing. You're just a crew of folks, each with different abilities, and you're passing them around. So I really appreciated that, being a big Spy Hunter player back in the day. So that was a lot of fun. I thought the different capabilities were interesting. I thought the directional element to it was cool. It took, the first play I think was a little, you know, rough just because we were figuring out what to do, and, we made some mistakes, but by that 2nd, 3rd game, we kinda got it, and it was fun.
Yeah, there's a definite learning curve on kind of the. I'm going to use the words cause and effect again.
Yeah.
Do you understand? Like, there was definitely the first game where times where it was like, okay, I drive to the left, and I was like, oh, well, now I'm trying to shoot very, very far, and then there's a coin. You flip the
Mhm.
coin. Does it work? And may or may not.
Yeah.
For a game that's seems like it's about making you feel stressed out for a brief moment, and then that stress turns into moments of joy and glory.
Mhm.
Like, I think it accomplished that more often than it didn't. Like, the
Yeah.
amount of times that it just went real bad because we didn't plan right were few enough to not feel frustrating, but often enough to keep that tension up. And I actually, yeah, I really appreciate it. I think it's a clever little game. That said, when we were playing, one of us would play the two front seats and one of us played the two back seats.
Mhm.
I don't know that I want to play at 4. I definitely don't want to play at 3 because then you get that weird.
Mhm.
You have 4 characters and 3 people, and like, how do you manage that? Definitely don't want to do that. But I don't know that at 4 I would feel like I had enough to do.
I could see that.
I mean, I could
And
be wrong. To be clear, I have not played at 4. I've played solo, and I've played at 2 players.
yeah,
But yeah, I don't know because I did find when I played it solo, it's very it's a different vibe because obviously all the trades I want to do I can make, and nobody's telling me I'm stupid.
mm,
I also
I never
lost,
said stupid.
but your subtext is very strong. But I definitely lost all the games I played solo
Mm,
without
interesting.
having that other person to kind of bounce ideas off of.
Yeah.
But I think the puzzle's really good at solo. I think the puzzle's fun at 2, and I really did like how when we were playing, in general, it was close to 50-50 of some of the, "Oh, I think I have the idea of what we should do.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, if you go here and then I use this and you do this, it'll kill this and that'll go and hit." And I thought it was very, very clever that way. It also has a bunch of scenarios. I think I've played 3 of them, and I think there's 8, and they're not hugely different, but they are different enough. So, different story, different kind of vibe, what's going on.
Yeah.
But overall, and also it's a very small box, everybody. So, I mean, it's got that going for it too.
Yeah, I was gonna say we played this in the cafe at Barnes& and Noble,
Yeah, on a
which
on a,
was
on a two top. We were
on
playing on
a
a two top, so
yeah, which was the
very
nice thing about the two-player experience. We could do this in the very, very small footprint, with it's a small footprint game with a lot going on, so really appreciated that, it was nice.
yeah. I think it's a clever game as long as you are okay with the timer. And again, like as we found, the timers sometimes it feels like the timer is long. Sometimes it's like, oh gosh, I just barely have enough time. So I think the timer's spot on.
Mhm.
It's a relatively quick game, and all the games that I've played have at least been competitive, whether I won or lost. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's pretty clever, especially if you're into that spy hunter vibe.
Yeah.
So tell us about the other game, which, unbeknownst to me, Don picked up at Dice Tower West from their booth.
Mhm.
And specifically, I don't know if you remember, you told me because the other one, Gun It, had a sand timer. You're like, I don't like timers. And so you
Yeah.
didn't get that one. You
I
got the other one.
almost bought it, and then I saw the timer, and I'm like, I'll be" you're always trying to be responsible at shows and not buy everything you see, and so that was just enough to let me resist it. So I'm glad I got a chance to try it later, but yeah, the other game is Roll in One, which is a golf game. Again, small footprint, it's a small box, but you are playing golf, obviously, from the title, and you're building a golf course for each round, and you play rounds based on the number of players, and I can't remember the exact multiplier, but you
Yeah, I
take
believe
turns.
I want to say we played 5 holes at 2 players.
That sounds right.
Or
Um,
but no, 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 I
or
think it was
maybe it
four
was
holes.
two
Four holes.
each.
4 holes.
Two each. Yeah, two per player. So you take turns designing the course. So you take a number of cards that represent parts of the potential golf course, and you put them together. And there's a minimum and a maximum, and you can play anywhere in between that. So you can say, I'm going to create an easy 3 par hole, or I'm going to create a massive 5 par hole, and then you take turns playing through that. And the golf clubs are represented by dice. So there's a D20, D12, D10, and so on. And each of those kind of represents the power of the club and the potential for getting it there. And so you pick a direction you're going to swing in, and you roll the die, and you see how far you get to go. And you keep rolling depending on the rules for the different clubs. And it's golf, so you're trying to get to the hole in the fewest shots, and again, small footprint. It was really easy to figure out and get to the table, and we had fun with it. Just took turns designing holes and playing through them, and you try to create something that feels good to you, but it's a challenge to the other person, and you can't really get an advantage, so it's really just a creative exercise designing the holes.
Yeah, yeah, I dug it. And the one little clarification, as
Mhm,
you're rolling the dice, it either has a number on the symbol that you roll or a diamond or something. I don't remember exactly what it is.
mhm.
But if it's the just the symbol, the ball you hit just keeps on going.
Yes,
But if you
thank
roll a
you.
number, say I roll a 5 and I roll again, I have to either I can't remember.
You have
Roll
to roll
above
a
that
higher
number or
number.
below the number.
I believe it's higher.
Yeah, you have to roll higher than the number or the ball lands and it stops.
Right.
And each of the clubs has a different amount of the different symbols and whatever. And some of them have the ability to slice where it'll curve, and so you can
Mhm,
pick a club. Be like, oh, man, I don't like this. I need to kind of go up 3 and over 1. So if I pick this one, maybe I can go over the 1 and keep going forward. And so there's actually some serious strategy to picking
mhm.
your club, and then of course it becomes just straight up push your luck.
Yeah.
But
There's
there
a
is a
little bit of
little
magic to some of
mitigation.
the shots, but the dice represent nature, which screws up your whole plan for that magic, so, yeah,
Yeah, well, that's what we say. We say, "Oh, it was nature's fault. It wasn't my lack of skill," right?
absolutely.
And not that I played golf once in my
It was
life,
that
but
gust of wind that pushed my ball in the wrong direction.
though I will say, for a long time, I don't know if I still do. I held a course record at a par 3 course in Myrtle Beach,
Oh,
South
yeah.
Carolina.
Highest number?
Oh yeah, 108 on a par
Good
3.
lord.
I
That's
bounced one off.
impressive.
My best hole. I actually did get a single birdie. I hit one. It went not straight. It went sideways. It bounced off a tree and landed 3 inches from the cup. Yeah, it's bad. I'm real bad at golf. Um, and there's also caddy cards. I think it's called caddy cards,
Mhm.
which are just little powers that you get each turn that can do something. But it might be ignore the roll that you made and re-roll, or it might be a nope. You can choose to land your ball right now. Those kinds of
Yes.
things. Yeah, I actually really enjoyed it. I thought it was very clever. As you mentioned, I don't quite know at this moment what the strategy is on creating holes,
Yeah.
other
Uh,
than the caddy cards that you have.
yeah, but like you said, they're small powers, so you're not gonna get a massive advantage, but, yeah, you might have something that makes you prefer straightaways.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's thematic. You might be really good at hitting the power shots in real life, and so you like a straightaway over a back and forth kinda thing, so,
But that said, I actually had fun making the holes,
yeah,
even though I didn't know why.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I thought they were very clever. I got to say this designer, his name is Randy. I want to say O'Connor.
mhm,
If you're watching the video and I had that name wrong, one, sorry, Randy, assuming that is your name. Gosh, I'm a horrible person. But you can see down at the bottom what the actual name is. But yeah, I thought it was very clever, and I think both of the games are pretty darn thematic. Small footprint.
mhm.
Yeah, I liked them.
I mean, this is another one. I don't remember exactly where we were when we played this one, but I think we
Oh well, I do. We had just finished something. Oh, we had just finished playing one of my 5x5s, Divinus, at your house,
yeah,
and you're like, "Oh, I have it," and we pulled it out, and it was a
okay,
20. Oh, it was like a 20-minute game. That's
yes. So it was on a proper game table, but this is another one you could play in a cafe easily, so,
especially because you're building the hole, and you could build it around a make it a curve or whatever.
yeah,
Yeah, I thought it was quite clever. So check both of them out, y'all.
absolutely.
All right, we are about an hour or so in. I'm tired. You're
Mhm,
tired. So we're gonna wrap this thing up. And Don, you've had an hour to think about this,
yep.
and I know you haven't at
No, I
all.
have.
What are your gaming words of wisdom?
So I talked about it earlier. Make sure you are in the mood for the thing that you're going to partake. Sometimes you feel like you gotta play that heavy game, but it's just gonna put you to sleep or give you a headache, and sometimes you need to play the lighter game and drink a lager. So, or maybe a pilsner. I don't know what counts as light.
A nice
Um,
Kolsch.
there you go, a Kolsch. Sometimes you need a Kolsch. Sometimes you're ready for a wee heavy Scotch ale.
All right, so
I verged on trying to do an accent there, but I didn't get there.
I was all gonna be so impressed. So
I don't have a beard. You need a beard.
what should you drink with a heavy game?
What should you drink with a heavy game? I feel like you almost kind of need to reverse it. You can drink the heavy Scotch ale and play Azul. I don't know. Maybe Azul's not that light, but anyway, a lighter game. If
So
you're gonna,
the wee Scotch ale for rolling one.
there you go for rolling one. If you're gonna play Twilight Imperium, you need to drink water, hydrate.
Or not play. I'm leaving that in, y'all. Yeah, you
I,
heard me. I have zero desire to play that game. In fact, everybody, Don knows this.
mhm.
I put in my bio as a special guest at RageCon. I'll play anything except for Twilight Imperium. You can come fight me, but don't really fight me. Fight Don, but tell me you're going to fight me.
I'm not interested in the fight either, but fair. Yeah, I picked it because of your bio, but like that's the game where you need to hydrate, drink water. I don't know, back up, say Andromeda's Edge. You need a nice Kolsch
Sounds good. All right, everybody. I'd like to say we'll have another episode in about 3 weeks or so, but who knows? We'll have another
someday.
episode as soon as we can. Hopefully, we'll talk about some of the games here, specifically Pillars of the Earth and Through the Ages.
Yep.
That should be our target that we'll talk about those, but maybe even Deep Shelf or something like that. Fate of the Fellowship, we shall see. Anyhow, Don, thank you so much for making the time. I know you're a very, very busy guy. And everybody else, thank you so much for listening and or watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Well, it's
So,
funny. These are the earbuds I use for calls at work all day long.
yeah, well, now you sound great.
Hopefully, I don't sound terrible on the earbuds because, like, that's the mic all day long is these earbuds.
Oh, well, if that's the same mic, you sound like shit.